We remove. We remove.
Kaldırıyoruz.
Was his friend a paramedic? His friend is the Ministry of Health prison?
Arkadaşı Sağlık Bakanlığı hapishanesi.
Aren't we going to sing in 2 days? Aren't we going to sing in 2 days?
2 gün sonra şarkı söylemeyecek miyiz?
Usually not a surgeon. Usually not a surgeon.
Genellikle cerrah değildir.
They can never be surgeons. They can never be surgeons.
Asla cerrah olamazlar.
Didn't I just bake? Didn't I just bake?
Hemen fırınlamadım mı?
Seldom will be a scientist. Seldom will be a scientist.
Nadiren bilim adamı olmayacak.
Sometimes you are a contractor. Sometimes you are a contractor.
Bazen müteahhit olursun.
Stepdaughter's race car driver. Race car driver who can step by step.
Üvey yapabileceği yarış arabası sürücüsü.
Our half-sister was a model. Our half-sister was a model.
Üvey kız kardeşimiz modeldi.
Can cope. Handle.
Başa çıkma.
Doesn't it create? To create?
Yaratmak mı?
His cousins are sheriffs. His cousins are sheriffs.
Kuzenleri şeriftir.
You can catch it right away. You can catch it right away.
Hemen yakalayabilirsiniz.
Can it load 10 years? Can it be uploaded in?
Yılında yükleyebilir mi?
Will we travel? Will we travel?
Seyahat edecek miyiz?
Can we race in 2 nights? Can we race in 2 nights?
2 gece sonra yarışabilir miyiz?
Is your father a grocer? Is your father a grocer?
Baban bakkal mı?
Annual astronomer, right? Annual astronomy, right?
Yıllık astronomi değil mi?
Shouldn't we fill it sooner? Shouldn't we fill it sooner?
Daha erken doldurmamız gerekmez mi?
Was not always a pharmacist. Cannot always be done.
Her zaman yapılamaz.
I have to appear. I have to appear.
Görünmeliyim.
Can it carry? Can it carry?
Taşıyabilir mi?
You shouldn't always want to. You should always want.
Her zaman istemelisin.
Didn't I harvest at dusk? Couldn't harvest at dusk?
Alacakaranlıkta hasat edemedim mi?
He wouldn't get off the ship. He wouldn't get off the ship.
Gemiden inmeyecekti.
Can't we wrestle often? Can't we wrestle often?
Sık sık güreşemez miyiz?
Uncle lyricist. Uncle lyricist.
Amcan söz yazarı.
Industrialist did? Industrialist did?
Sanayici mi yaptı?
Can they upload it? Can they upload it?
Yükleyebilirler mi?
Is your spouse a mechanic? Is your spouse a mechanic?
Eşiniz makinist mi?
May indicate annually. May indicate annually.
Yıllık belirtebilir.
That's not the question. That's not the question.
O soru değil.
Don't they borrow? Don't they borrow?
Borçlanmıyorlar mı?
Can you occupy weekly? Could the weekly occupation be wrong?
Haftalık işgal yanlış olabilir mi?
Is your grandfather a vocalist? Is your grandfather a vocalist?
Deden vokalist mi?
Doesn't he confess? Doesn't he confess?
İtiraf etmiyor mu?
Should not be limited. Should not be limited.
Sınırlandırılmamalıdır.
Dawn concentrator. Dawn concentrator.
Şafak vakti yoğunlaştırıcı.
Can't handle it after one night? Can't handle it after one night?
Bir gece sonra idare edemez mi?
Is her stepbrother a translator? Is her stepbrother a translator?
Üvey kardeşi tercüman mı?
Can't it diversify? Can't it diversify?
Çeşitlenemez mi?
He used to paint weekly. Weekly painting.
Haftalık resim çalışması.
I shouldn't be preaching weekly. I have to preach weekly.
Haftalık vaaz vermeliyim.
Our grandfather is the governor. Our grandfather is the governor.
Dedemiz vali.
Can't I compare? Can't I compare?
Karşılaştıramaz mıyım?
There will be no hairdresser in 1 month. There will be no hairdresser in 1 month.
Bir ay sonra kuaför olmayacak.
Did you drape at noon? Did you drape at noon?
Öğlen drape yaptın mı?
They should age after 1 day. They should age after 1 day.
Bir gün sonra yaşlanmaları gerekir.
Couldn't we have danced 4 nights before? Can't they dance 4 nights before?
Daha önce 4 gece dans edemezler mi?
Then it may not explode at 2 a.m. Then it may not explode at 2 a.m.
Daha sonra gece yarısı 2'de patlamayabilir.
In 3 nights you will be a naturalist. In 3 nights you will be a naturalist.
3 gece sonra doğa bilimci olacaksın.
Is my stepbrother a cop? Is my stepbrother a cop?
Üvey kardeşim polis mi?
Should they be paramedics every day? Should they be paramedics every day?
Her gün sağlık görevlisi olmalılar mı?
Relatives were messengers. Relatives were messengers.
Akrabaların haberciydi.
Wouldn't it normally fit? Basically it doesn't fit.
Temel olarak uymaz mı?
Doesn't it hurt? Doesn't it hurt?
Yaralamıyor mu?
Can he handle the afternoon? Can he handle the afternoon?
Öğle vakti idare edebilir mi?
Is your grandson a lumberjack? Is your grandson a lumberjack?
Torununuz oduncu mu?
They will not do business at night. They will not do business at night.
Gece vakti esnaflık yapmayacaklar.
Do they shoot sometimes? Do they shoot sometimes?
Bazen çekerler mi?
Can't be a tradesman after a year? Can't be a tradesman after a year?
Bir yıl sonra esnaf olamaz mı?
You cook it 3 days in advance. You cook for 3 days.
3 gün boyunca pişiriyorsunuz.
We may not be able to do carpentry at sunset. We may not be able to do carpentry at sunset.
Gün batımında marangozluk yapamayabiliriz.
Can't let it? Can't let it?
İzin veremez mi?
You will fix. You will fix.
Tamir edeceksin.
Should not stop. Should not stop.
Durmamalı.
They must be lobbyists. Lobbyists must exist.
Lobicilerin olması gerekir.
Should fall. Should fall.
Düşmeli.
Can it burn? Can it burn?
Yanabilir mi?
It was obvious. It was obvious.
O belliydi.
Will never undertake. Will never undertake.
Asla üstlenmeyecek.
Was his son a glazier? Son go to glazier?
Oğlu camcı gitmek.
Won't you prove it every year? Can't you prove it every year?
Her yıl kanıtlayamayacak mısın?
Shouldn't bother. Shouldn't bother.
Uğraşmamalı.
Your cousins were garbage collectors. Your cousins were garbage collectors.
Kuzenleriniz çöp toplayıcıydı.
Am I a deputy at noon? Am I a deputy at noon?
Öğlen milletvekili miyim?
I want to say. I want to say.
Demek istiyorum.
Was his half-brother the founder? When they're stepbrothers.
Üvey kardeşleri olduklarında.
We couldn't listen right away. We couldn't listen right away.
Hemen dinleyemedik.
Was his wife a butcher? Wife carry the butcher?
Karısı kasap taşımak.
Will you trust before? Will you trust before?
Daha önce güvenecek misin?
They must meet at night. They must meet at night.
Gece vakti buluşmaları gerekir.
She can be a housewife in the previous one evening. She can be a housewife in the previous one evening.
Önceki bir akşam ev hanımı olabilir.
Weren't we financiers before at 5 a.m.? Before 5 at midnight financier not generalization?
Daha önce gece yarısı 5'te finansör değil genelleme.
Didn't they see you soon? Didn't they see you soon?
Yakında görmediler mi?
You didn't cut 10 years. You didn't cut the year.
Yılı kesmedin.
Did you catch it now? Did you catch it now?
Hemen tuttu mu?
His cousins were cameramen. His cousins were cameramen.
Kuzenleri kameramandı.
Should not be fed. Should not be fed.
Yedirmemelidir.
My children were dermatologists. My children were dermatologists.
Çocuklarım dermatologdu.
Is his half-brother a golfer? Is his half-brother a golfer?
Üvey kardeşi golfçü mü?
Is his nephew an illusionist? Is his nephew an illusionist?
Yeğeni illüzyonist mi?
Did not explain. Did not explain.
Açıklamadı.
Were they costs?
Maliyetler.
We could not agree. We could not agree.
Anlaşamadık.
He was going to force it 4 weeks later. He was going to force it 4 weeks later.
4 hafta sonrasını zorlayacaktı.
May I not include? Can I include?
İçerebilir miyim?
Did they increase? Did they increase?
Artırdılar mı?
Was his grandfather an ambassador? Grandfather ambassador general?
Dedesi büyükelçi genel.
Did not stay at noon. Did not stay at noon.
Öğle vakti kalamadı.
2 seconds later, dermatologist? 2 seconds later, dermatologist?
2 saniye sonra dermatolog mu?
Shouldn't they hide at sunset? Shouldn't they be hidden in the day window?
Gün penceresinde saklanmaları gerekmez mi?
Wouldn't we challenge? Wouldn't we challenge?
Meydan okumaz mıyız?
The developer would be 10 years. Developer year.
Geliştirici yıl olur.
Can you forget? Not misunderstood?
Yanlış anlaşılmaz mı?
Was our son a developer? Our son enter the developer?
Oğlumuz geliştirici enter.
Can't they play games every month? Can't they play games every month?
Her ay oyun oynayamazlar mı?
Isn't it annual? Not yearly?
Yıllık değil.
Not ranking. Not ranking.
Sıralama değil.
Can't I be a waitress sometimes? Sometimes I become a waitress?
Bazen garsonluk görevlisi oluyorum.
Are you painting at sunrise? Are you painting at sunrise?
Gün doğarken resim mi yapıyorsun?
Was it working before? Have they worked before?
Daha önce çalışıyorlar mı?
Can you be a pharmacist at dusk? Could it be consumption at twilight?
Alacakaranlıkta tüketim olabilir mi?
It is called. It is said.
O söyleniyor.
You will soon be a manager. You will soon be a manager.
Yakında yönetici olacaksın.
Didn't he object? Didn't I object?
İtiraz etmedim mi?
Will you be a banker by noon? Will you be a banker by noon?
Öğlen bankacı olur musun?
Getting older every week? Is his week alive?
Onun haftası yasıyor mu?
Can't iron at noon. Midday iron shields.
Öğlen ütüsü kalkanları.
Does it every year? Is it every year?
Her yıl mı yer alıyor?
Isn't he a translator after 5 centuries? Isn't he a translator after 5 centuries?
5 asır sonra tercüman değil mi?
Should throw. Should throw.
Atmalıdır.
Not a judge next year. Not a judge next year.
Gelecek yıl yargıç değil.
Am I a night watchman right now? Can I become a night watchman now?
Hemen gece bekçisi olabilir miyim?
Doesn't he confess? Doesn't he confess?
İtiraf etmiyor mu?
Fails the previous one evening. Fails the previous one evening.
Önceki bir akşam başarısız olur.
They finished 5 hours ago. They finished 5 hours ago.
5 saat önce sonuçlandılar.
They are not complete. They are not complete.
Tam değiller.
You can then include it. Can be included later.
Sonra dahil edilebilir.
Can I get points? Can I get points?
Puan alabilirim.
He didn't build a wall one day ago. He didn't build a wall one day ago.
Bir gün önce duvar örmedi.
We can't leave sooner. We can't leave sooner.
Daha erken ayrılamayız.
He proves it. Proves it.
Kanıtlıyor.
Monthly technician required. Monthly technician required.
Aylık teknisyeni gerekir.
Should he write? Should he write?
Yazmalı mı?
She doesn't like. She doesn't like.
O sevmiyor.
They can paint soon. They can paint soon.
Yakında boyayabilirler.
Should I fit in an annual? Should I fit in an annual?
Yıllık olarak sığmalı mıyım?
My family is a shipper. My family is a shipper.
Ailem nakliyeci.
Didn't they mark? Didn't they meet?
Buluşmadılar mı?
His grandson was a diver. His grandson was a diver.
Torunu dalgıçtı.
My friend anesthetist. My friend anesthetist.
Arkadaşım anestezist.
He seldom rode. Would not ride with them.
Yanlarında binme yapmazdı.
Their husbands were stockbrokers. Their husbands were stockbrokers.
Kocaları borsacıydı.
Never work? Never work?
Asla iş yapmaz mı?
Are their nephews entrepreneurs? Are their nephews entrepreneurs?
Yeğenleri girişimci mi?
His father was a librarian. The heir was the library.
Mirasçı kütüphaneydi.
Is her granddaughter a nurse? Granddaughter drawing?
Torunu çizim mi?
I should be hurt. I should be hurt.
İncinmeliyim.
Can't evaluate it every week? Can't evaluate it every week?
Her hafta değerlendiremez mi?
We would remove. We removed.
Kaldırdık.
Should it serve soon? Serving soon?
Yakında hizmet vermeyi mi?
Do they judge at sunset? Do they judge at sunset?
Gün batımında mı yargılıyorlar?
Was his grandson a jeweler? Are your grandson a jeweler?
Torunu kuyumcu musunuz?
I am not a daily commitment. I am not a daily commitment.
Ben günlük taahhüt değilim.
They can always connect. They always set their connection.
Her zaman bağlantılarını ayarlarlar.
1 year later? 1 year later?
Bir yıl sonra getirmez mi?
He's just a trucker. He's just a trucker.
O hemen kamyoncu.
Haven't I glazed often? Haven't I glazed often?
Sık sık camlamadım mı?
His niece was a stylist. His niece was a stylist.
Yeğeni stilistti.
You can get points last year. You can get points last year.
Geçen yıl puan alabilirsin.
Am I not staying? Not stay?
Kalmamak mı?
Our stepfather was a choreographer. Our stepfather was a choreographer.
Üvey babamız koreograftı.
His grandmother was a naturalist. His grandmother was a naturalist.
Büyükannesi doğa bilimciydi.
Do we have to do chemistry at dawn? Do we have to do chemistry at dawn?
Şafakta kimya yapmak zorunda mıyız?
Is your son a secretary? Your son's secretary?
Oğlunuzun sekreteri mi?
It was not the place. It was not the place.
O yer değildi.
It should not lock after 3 seconds. It should not lock after 3 seconds.
3 saniye sonra kilitlenmemelidir.
We can't be editors in the twilight. We can't be editors in the twilight.
Alacakaranlıkta editör olamayız.
Can they see 5 years ago? Can they see 5 years ago?
5 yıl öncesini görebilirler mi?
Our relatives are founders. Our relatives are founders.
Akrabalarımız kurucudur.
Rarely do I have to be a foreman. Rarely do I have to be a foreman.
Nadiren ustabaşı olmak zorunda mıyım?
Is your nephew a barber? Is your nephew a barber?
Yeğeniniz berber mi?
Are their grandchildren sailors? Are their grandchildren sailors?
Torunları denizci mi?
Is her nephew a columnist? Is her nephew a columnist?
Yeğeni köşe yazarı mı?
Can't affect. Can't affect.
Etkileyemez mi?
Can't you swim every week? Can't you face it every week?
Her hafta yüzleşemez misin?
Were our parents riders? Are our parents far-reaching?
Anne babamız geniş kapsamlı mı?
I trust one night later. I trust one night later.
Bir akşam sonraya güveniyorum.
He was defending. Takes the defense.
Defans alır.
Am I expanding? Am I expanding?
Genişletiyor muyum?
Is my stepdaughter an apprentice? Step tissue apprentice?
Üvey doku çırak mı?
Didn't he attack 5 years ago? Didn't he attack 5 years ago?
5 yıl önce saldırmadı mı?
Were your grandchildren servants? Do your grandchildren carry the butler?
Torunlarınız uşak taşımak.
They would cut. They would cut.
Keserlerdi.
Consort. Consort.
Sıralayabilir.
Will he look? Will he look?
Bakacak mı?
Can he handle the afternoon? Can he handle the afternoon?
Öğle vakti idare edebilir mi?
They can coach after 4 seconds. They can coach after 4 seconds.
4 saniye sonra koçluk yapabilirler.
Appreciated. Appreciated.
Takdir etti.
Wouldn't you be a clown at sunset? No clowns at sunset?
Gün batımında palyaço olmaz mı?
Should I include it sometimes? Can I include it sometimes?
Bazen dahil edebilir miyim?
Our grandmother was a maid. Our grandmother was a maid.
Annemiz hizmetçiydi.
We are not economists after 2 weekends. We won't be economists after 2 weekends.
Ekonomist olmayacağız 2 hafta sonu sonra.
Wouldn't he want it then? Wouldn't he want it then?
O zaman istemeyebilir mi?
You should never do a shopping assistant. You should never make a shopping assistant.
Asla alışveriş yardımcısı yapmamalısın.
Our half-brother was an actor. Our half-brother was an actor.
Üvey kardeşimiz oyuncusuydu.
They did not become manager at noon. There were no food managers.
Yemek müdürleri olmadı.